2021 Left 2 board meeting. As we always do, I'd like to ask y'all to join me in a moment of silence for those that have passed on in their service, whether that be law enforcement or fire. Thank you. Okay, thanks. This morning, I'm going to go ahead and turn the meeting on over to Steve Nelson, our Executive Director, to go ahead and start the meeting. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Tim, can you bring up the first slide? So the ledge update will be fairly uneventful. So at this point in time, neither the House or the Senate budget has been introduced. We're expecting both of those budgets to be introduced here in the next couple of days, with hearings to begin Friday and Saturday. But at this point in time, neither budget is out. I don't want to jinx it, but I don't expect anything major concerning Left 2 in either budget. It's been a fairly quiet session with respect to pensions. There was the bill that was introduced that we talked about last month, dealing with a Left 1, TERS 1 merger and a benefit improvement for Left 2. That bill never got a hearing and is still not scheduled for a hearing. I expect the rates that were adopted by the board to be fully funded in both the House and the Senate budget. No benefit improvements or anything like that in either budget. We, of course, will be monitoring that, and if there's anything that significant that happens, we'll send you a legislative update. All the board members will send you a legislative update to give you a heads up about anything that pops up that's significant. Let's see, I think that's it for the ledge update. There's some, I don't want to call it a technical bill, but for instance, DRS is working a bill that allows them to close out accounts of members that are don't have enough service to be vested, but they don't work anymore and haven't worked in a number of years. Those non-vested, inactive accounts, that bill is moving forward. There's compared to other plans, there's very few of those in left, but there are some. We'll keep you updated on that, and we'll work with DRS. Of course, we get some questions every now and then about things like, well, I'm a full-time firefighter now, but before that I had a couple of years in PERS that I didn't cash out. They're not going to cash out my PERS account, are they? Those kind of things. And the answer is no. If you're a dual member, they're not going to close out your secondary account. But we'll keep you posted on that bill. With that, Tim, if you could move it to the next slide. The only major item that I wanted to talk to you about this morning is the agency move. We are 100% out of the building that we've been in since the board was first created over with the State Investment Board. We were out of there at the end of February. The new building is operational now. We've got everything except for a few items of furniture that have been ordered that'll be delivered in the next couple of weeks, but the technology is set up. The workspaces are almost completely set up again, like I said, with the exception of a few furniture items. We're still planning on teleworking primarily, and that's part of the governor's initiative. I don't expect anything different with respect to teleworking probably through the summer for our agency. And I'll talk about that, how that impacts board meetings as well when we get to the talking about the next board meeting. But right now, I wanted to let you know I'll be working part-time in the office, part-time from home. Um, and but again, the primarily the agency will continue to telework at least through, for instance, all of the vaccine stuff. And we'll be watching for updates and guidance from the governor's office. They have what they call a Safe Start initiative to help agencies through the process of restarting after this past year. And we'll follow all of those guidelines. The team has done a fantastic job teleworking. And so for our agency, it should be a fairly smooth, uneventful transition back to, whatever the next phase looks like. And frankly, I think it's clear now that when the state, including the LEF2 board, resumes operations, telework is going to continue to be a big piece of ongoing operation. A lot of agencies had never done much telework. They were forced to, and it worked better than they expected in a lot of ways. And there were additional benefits from telework in terms of decreased commutes, et cetera, that now I think that's going to become a much more significant part of just general state agency operations in the future. But as the state figures that out and as they let us know, we'll be following all their guidelines. Did you guys have any questions? And I skipped over that part, I apologize. So did you guys have any questions about session or about the agency move? Okay. The one other item that I wanted to talk about has to do with future LEF2 board meetings. So session is scheduled to end April 25th. And our next meeting is scheduled for April 28th, shortly after session ends. In the past, we've handled the April meeting one of two ways. One, if session goes late, then we do it just like we did today. It's a virtual meeting with just a brief ledge update and admin update. I don't want to jinx it, but I don't expect session to go late. So if they end on time, April 25th, then the plan at this point in time for the April 28th meeting would be a session recap and a high-level presentation about what you guys have on your tentative agenda for the interim. We won't be asking you to make decisions on your interim work plan or anything like that. That would typically be at the May meeting. But this would be our first presentation to you about, for instance, what are all the regularly scheduled actuarial items that come up in 2021? What studies, if any, did you get from the legislature? What topics did you consider last year that you deferred to the next year? Just to give you a chance to start planning yourselves what you might be interested in or required to work on in the upcoming interim. So that April 28th meeting will be virtual, and all the board meetings at this point in time are going to be online until, well, at the very least, until the fall. It's entirely likely that all the meetings for 2021 will be online meetings. We're waiting, again, that'll depend on the Safe Start guidelines for agencies restarting and on the availability of meeting facilities. So at this point in time, though, the April, May, and June meetings, you can 100% count on July meeting as well. Those are going to be virtual meetings. The April meeting is not expected to have require any executive action on your part. That will, in all likelihood, then begin in the May meeting when you guys could start taking formal action on your work plan for the 2021 interim. Are there any questions about that, about the plan for ongoing meetings? Even once meetings return, they're going to have a long distance virtual component. I think that'll be up to you guys to decide. The board has talked about that in the past, but that's part of the encouragement that we expect in the future, is that even if you are holding in-person meetings, that you allow for remote participation to cut down on travel requirements. So any questions about the April board meeting or the kind of the high level plans, if you will, for the 2021 interim? Okay. That is all that I have for you, Mr. Chair. Since there's not a quorum, you don't need a motion to adjourn. But if any board members have questions about any other topic that I didn't cover this morning, I'd be happy to answer them now, or you can reach out to me one-on-one separately and I'd be happy to do whatever I can to help.
Any questions for Steve or anything for the good of the order?
Steve, this is Tim. I just wanted to point out that we do have Mark and Trina on the call, so I believe you do have a quorum in place.
Oh, okay. Well, there's no action items required, but yeah, then a motion to adjourn, if we've actually got a quorum, a motion to adjourn would be appropriate.
Motion to adjourn meeting?
Second, or so moved.
All right. Well, we have a motion to adjourn. We'll go ahead and close out the meeting unless there's anybody has any additional questions before we close. All right. So moved. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. See you in April.